Okay, this is part 2 of English 7 for March the 24th. Now let's pick up where we left off. I believe we're on number 4 of exercise A on page 174. The light rays, when they have entered the eye, travel to the retina. To the retina is a prepositional phrase. Okay, what is my adverb clause? My adverb clause is when they have entered the eye. So put brackets around that. Okay, inside your clause, what is the verb? Have entered. What is the subject? They. They have entered. What is your subordinating conjunction? When. Now look outside of your dependent clause. Okay, you have the light rays travel. Okay, what's the verb? Travel. What's the subject? Rays. Look at number 5. When the light hits the retina, the light rays move through special cells called rods and cones. Prepositional phrases. Through the special cells. Okay? What is your verb? Move. Okay? And hits. Who or what hits? Light. Who or what moves? Rays. Do you have a subordinating conjunction? Yes, you have the word when. Put brackets around your adverb clause. Brackets go around when the light hits the retina. Okay? Number 6. The cones do the majority of what's seen during the day because they are sensitive to fairly bright light. Okay? So, prepositional phrases are of one seen and during the day. Do you see a subordinate conjunction? Because. Okay, what would be the dependent clause? Because they are sensitive to fairly bright light. That is our dependent clause. Inside your dependent clause, what is the verb? Are. What is the subject of the dependent clause? They. Look outside the dependent clause to your independent clause. Let's make sure we have one. The cones do the majority. So that would be the cones do the majority, okay? So the cones do the majority of the ones seen during the day. That is our independent clause, okay? So what is the verb? Do. Who or what do? Cones. Cones is the subject. Very good. Number 7. Although they have different jobs within the retina, the rods and cones are responsible for how an image is seen. Do you have a subordinate conjunction? Look at your list if you're not sure. Although. Okay, so what would be my dependent clause? Although they have different jobs within the retina. Put brackets around that. There's a clue. There was a comma after the word retina. That was your clue. Okay, inside your dependent clause, what is the verb? Have. What is your subject? They. Now look at your independent clause outside of that bracket. You have the words, the rods and cones are responsible for how an image is seen. What is the verb? Are. What's the subject? Rods, cones. Look at number 8. The light rays bend so that an image comes in upside down. What is your subordinate conjunction? So that. So make sure you circle it. Now, what is your clause? Your adverb clause. So that the image comes in upside down. Put brackets around that. Look inside your brackets. What is the verb? Comes. What is the subject? Image. Outside of the brackets, the light rays bend. Your verb is bend, and your subject is rays. Number 9. When the light hits a rod or cone, a signal is sent to the visual center of the brain. What is your subordinating conjunction? When. What is the inside? Let's find your clause. The clause would be what then? When the light hits a rod or cone. Put brackets around that. That's dependent. Is there a verb and a subject? Your verb is hits. The subject is light. Okay? Outside of the brackets is your independent clause. What is the verb? Is sent. What is your subject? Signal. Good job. Last one. The visual center, after it has received the signal, turns the image right side up. Do this sentence. Okay, what was your subordinating conjunction after? What was the dependent clause? After it has received the signal. The verb was has received. The subject was it. Outside of your dependent clause, the visual center turns the image right side up. The verb was turns, and the subject was center. Well done, guys. Now, look at the board. The board says, although the snowstorm had passed, many of the roads were still dangerous. Okay? Now, my first question is, what is my prepositional phrase that you see here? Of the roads. Mark it in your book. Of the roads. Okay? Next, what is your subordinate conjunction? Although. So let's circle although. So now, what is my dependent clause? Remember, it begins with my subordinating conjunction. So it's going to begin with the word although. Although the snowstorm had passed, that is my dependent clause. Look inside the brackets. Remember, the adverb clause will begin with a subordinate conjunction. It's going to be on your list, and it's going to end with that comma if it's an introductory. All right? So, had passed. Okay? Who or what had passed? The snowstorm. Okay, so I do have a subject and verb. I do. Okay, go outside. Many were still dangerous. Okay? What does although the snowstorm had passed tell us? It tells us what? Why they were dangerous. So this is going to describe the word were. Draw an arrow. Moses could not enter the promised land because he had disobeyed God. Okay, I have it on the board. What is your subordinate conjunction? It's going to be because. So put a bracket. Because he had disobeyed God. What does because he had disobeyed God tell us? It tells us why he could not enter. And remember, the word not is not part of our verb. It's an adverb. So when we draw our arrow, we're going to draw an arrow to could and to not. Do not, I said not, because I'm going to emphasize it, to could and to enter. Do not put it on the word not. Sorry about that, guys. Look at the next one. The officer, when he received all of the paperwork, released the prisoner. What's my adverb clause? Begins with a subordinate conjunction. It contains a subject and a verb. Okay? When is my subordinating conjunction? That begins my adverb clause. When he received all of the paperwork ends my adverb clause. What does the adverb clause, when he received all of the paperwork, tell us? It tells us when he released. When did he release the prisoner? When he had received all of the paperwork. Okay? Now, look at number 4. Because it has no outlet, the Dead Sea has a large concentration of salt. Okay? What is our subordinating conjunction? Because. So what's my clause? Because it has no outlet. Put brackets around that. What does because it has no outlet tell us? It describes the verb has. Okay? It tells us, why does it have a large concentration? Why? Because it has no outlet. You know, that's the way we are spiritually. When we take in truth and we never give that truth out, we become like the Dead Sea, because it's not what God intended. God intended for you and I as Christians to take in truth and then to share it. So make sure you're saying, well, how do we do that? How do we share truth? How do we share our faith when we're, sheltered at home? We can't get out. You can do it through your social media, through your testimony, to your family, to people on the internet, to your contacts. Be a good friend. Check on everybody. But, your checking on them shouldn't just be a social gathering. It should be about truth. Your real friends are the friends that you can feel comfortable praying with. Okay? Let's look at number 5. The colonies expressed great joy when they won the American War of Independence. What's my subordinating conjunction? When? What is the clause? When they won the American War for Independence. What does that describe? It tells us when they expressed it. So this clause goes back to the verb expressed. Cassandra was working so that she could go to college. The subordinating conjunction is so that. So that tells us why she was going to go to college. That's our clause. So it tells us why she's working. If the playground is too wet, the elementary students cannot play outside. What's my dependent clause? If the playground is too wet. The subordinating conjunction is if. And it tells us when they can play. Okay, it describes the verb can play. Okay, look at exercise C. Exercise C says, in the following paragraph, identify the adverb clause, circle each subordinating conjunction, and draw a line under the adverb clause. I don't want you to underline it. I want you to put brackets around it the way we've been doing. So put a bracket around your adverb clause and circle your subordinating conjunction. That is exercise C. I want you to do exercise C for homework tonight. We're going to check it tomorrow in class. All right, have a good day.